Hi there. Today I'm taking a look at a classic wine from Bordeaux. It's a Medoc wine, Chateau Potensac, a wine owned by the Delon family. And Potensac's in the northern Medoc, where some of its vineyards lie about 5 kilometres north of Chateau Calon-Ségur. It's a property based on the hamlet of Ordonnac, where actually the old church evidently makes up part of their establishment, and is used as an aging cellar. The estate's owned by the Delon family. Jean-Hubert Delon inherited it from his paternal great-grandmother, I believe. And prior to that, the Liquard family, to which she'd belonged to, had passed the estate down through the female line since the mid-1800s. The wine, the estate is quite large, it's about 84 hectares, and the soil types are a combination of classic deep Medoc gravel, but also with a slightly unusual soil for the Medoc, which is clay over limestone, so much more like the soil of the Côte in Saint-Emilion, and that has led to a bit of a change. I mean, they've got some fantastic vineyards there. I think the average vine age is over 40 years, with some plots having been planted 80 years ago. So, you know, concentrated, low yielding fruit. But the estate has a fantastic reputation, but the Delon family obviously also owns some other really good estates. For instance, the fantastic second growth Château Leoville-Las Cases in Saint-Julien, and also Château Nénin in Pomerol. And the wine here is made by the team at Château Leoville-Las Cases. As a result, they take all their barrels from Leoville-Las Cases, so they're all seasoned oak, but they will have been seasoned with some fantastic wine that hopefully will give some of its character to this wine. The wine ages very classically for about 14 to 16 months in barrel, so it's a very normal way to produce a claret in this part of the world. There have been some changes recently. Previously, the vineyard had been about 60% Cabernet Sauvignon. We've increased the proportion of Merlot in the blend, so making the wine sort of slightly less classical, less austere, less tannic, and probably faster maturing and more accessible in terms of its style. So let's have a look at the wine, shall we? First of all, the colour. I mean, that's got a good depth of colour. This is not a massively expensive wine. That's the other thing I should say. I mean, in US dollars terms, you're probably looking somewhere between sort of $25 and $35 a bottle. So quite accessible for, you know, classic claret. So good depth of colour. The colours are ruby red, but with a sort of a beautiful red purple rim. It's not a blue purple, but there is a red purple hint there from a young wine. When I swirl it, something you will see instantly is really quite obvious legs. I hope you can see those. And the wine has 15.5% alcohol. I believe it's sort of 14.5% alcohol. I believe it's about sort of 14.4 or something like that, but 14.5 is what goes on the label. So it's got viscosity because of that. It will have good tannins as well. So all giving it presumably plenty of body. So let's have a look at the aromas. To me, that is showing its Merlot lead. That's beautiful, ripe, red plum, not overripe, ripe, and almost, people talk sometimes with Margaux about sort of violet perfume. There are notes of that, on top notes of sort of a lifted, very clean floral perfume, and also slightly leafy notes. So that's the influence of the Cabernet Franc, which makes up a percentage of the blend. The blend on this, I believe, 45% Merlot, 36% Cabernet Sauvignon, 18% Cabernet Franc, and just 1% of Petit Verdot in there. So still quite Cabernet heavy if you include the Cabernet Sauvignon and Franc together, but with Merlot as the dominant variety anyway. So let's taste it. obviously a dry wine, but not drying in terms of having very astringent tannins, which in the past I might have expected Potensac to have demonstrated if we go back sort of 10-15 years or so. There is a lovely plummy ripeness that leads on to a velvety texture with the tannins. The tannins are quite plentiful. There's a rounded, juicy style to the wine. There's good freshness, and that's where we're seeing the Cabernet Franc and the Cabernet Sauvignon adding their acidity to the wine, and lifting it beautifully, so that sort of red, very clean red fruit note coming through on the palate. There's notes of sort of red currant maybe towards a fresh finish that's lasting very well, despite the fact that you've got quite high alcohol there. So the alcohol's not hot and marring the flavour. It's all, one thing I would say, it's all beautifully harmoniously together. There's not a lot of oak note. There's not a sort of a graphite or a cedary undertone there. The ripeness of the fruit is pulling all that in together and making this a very harmonious wine, even at quite a young age, 2018. We're talking 5 years here now. So yes, the flavours are lasting well. The alcohol is balanced. There's a nice length of flavour. It's not a great complexity, but there's a sort of a rich, maybe slightly chocolatey note overlaying red plummy fruit that's lasting really well. So yeah, if you're looking for a great value claret, and one that's sort of maturing a little earlier than it might have done in the past, I think Chateau Potensac is certainly worth considering. Thank you very much for watching, and if you've enjoyed it, do join us again. Bye now.